X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Ben Glaze, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Join us now. He covered the Detroit Tigers minor league system for a couple of decades. Also a member of the National Football Foundation and Football Writers Association of America. His name is John Wagner. Find him on Twitter at John Wagner Media. Johan, my good man, how are you? How's life? How are things, partner?
You know, Anthony, you would think with spring training kind of blossoming in front of us, pitchers and catchers reporting and all that, that this would be a good time for baseball fans. You would think, right?
You would think so. I mean, we had a really good conversation last week with Detroit Tigers catcher Jake Rogers. I mean, that was a lot of fun. He seemed like he was primed at the pump and ready to go and comfortable. And I think a lot of folks are just really excited that is, that baseball's back on the docket, if you will.
Yeah, and that's 100% and totally legitimate. I get that. But I got to tell you that I have a concern about baseball in general. And it stems with free agency. Okay?
Really? Well, you did drop a name on us last week, so.
Yeah. But, the thing is, it's just too easy. There are just too many names out there. And I mean, we're talking big names out there, okay? And I know that in recent years, there have been free agents that have signed really close to the start of opening day. I mean, Tiger fans can remember when J.D. Martinez signed with Boston, 2018, I want to say, something like that, 2018, 2019. A big contract with the Red Sox. Bryce Harper and Manny Machado both signed very, very late in the off season. I mean, not really even the off season. They signed end of February deal. So that's becoming a trend. And I don't know about you, Anthony. And you know what? Let me tee you up. Because I'm betting you can think what I think about that. Does that bother you? I mean, this year, there are still some big free agents out there. Blake Snell, best starting pitcher out there by a lot.
That was the name you dropped last week.
Jordan Montgomery, right behind him. Had a great World Series. Cody Bellinger, that's a bat. Matt Chapman, that's another good bat. Any team that signs any one of those four guys is going to get better immediately. I mean, significantly better immediately. So why aren't those guys signed? But the real question I have for you, Anthony, is does that bother you?
Does it bother me? Well, I'm trying to look at it from a GM standpoint, right? So you've got some big name guys out there. You mentioned a bat, so Joey Votto, Cody Bellinger, Evan Longoria, a couple of names, to throw in the mix. Mike Clevenger, there's another arm. J.D. Martinez, right, former Tiger. I think there's a couple of factors here, right? In a few of those guys that I mentioned, Liam Hendricks, there's another guy who's out there. I think that if I'm a major league GM, I'm looking at it like this. We have our group of guys that we are signed right now. Let's go into spring training. Right? Let's take a look and see if we can make it out of spring training in one piece, just to see kind of where we're at from an injury standpoint, right? So let's see, how we finish up from injuries, how much money we have available, who might have shown up in spring training that maybe we weren't necessarily prepared for, and maybe a name that might kind of stick out, a young guy that we might be able to work into the lineup that maybe we see some more value in by getting them on the diamond now versus waiting for later, right? And the first name that comes to my mind is a guy like Colt Keith, for example. So if you're looking around and you're looking at just positionally, I'll just say just to generalize, right? We'll go infield, and you said Matt Chapman, right? Infielder there at third base. His market value right now, according to Spotrac, is right around $17 million. If I'm the Tigers, do I want to spend $17 million, or $15 million this season on this player, or give those reps to a guy like Colt Keith, who you're looking to develop, who's going to need major league time? I guess that's maybe, if I'm a GM, that's what I'm looking at, and kind of why maybe some of these big name, big price tag free agents are still kind of hanging around.
Well, here's the thing, and I get that some of this is driven by numbers, some of this is driven by one name, and you got to be kind of careful here when we're throwing out names. In my mind, there are four elite prospects or elite free agents out there, and we can elite means these are additions that make your team better the moment they put on your uniform. Okay, and those four are 2 hitters, Chapman and Bellinger, and 2 pitchers, Montgomery and Snell. I don't care what team you are, you add those guys, you're better. Even if you're the Dodgers, even if you're the Braves, you add one of those 4 guys, your team is better. The problem is, and not the problem, the issue is, I believe all 4 of those are Scott Boras free agents. And Scott Boras is a max value, hard to deal with kind of guy. So that makes things tricky. There are some teams that just don't want to deal with Scott Boras, period, end of sentence. They don't care who Scott Boras might be delivering. They want no part of that. There are teams that go that way. It has been much to the Tigers' advantage through the years that they are not one of those teams. Pudge Rodriguez is the name that always sticks out to me. When he signed as a Boras candidate with the Tigers, he made the Tigers a different and better team by a lot. And I mean, that 2006 Renaissance wasn't entirely Ivan Rodriguez, but Pudge played a role in it. You got to be certain of that. So that's part of it. Part of it is also you mentioned some other names that have some issues, whether it's Joey Votto's age or Mike Clevenger's injury, or there's a bunch of guys, but there are so many of them. So many. And that just bothers me. And I'll tell you why. If for one reason, basically, if you want baseball to be the best product it can be, you want all 30 teams to be as good as they can get, these guys are major leaguers. They need to be signed and on major league teams. Okay? They just have to. You are not putting your best product out there on the field if these guys are not either standing on a mound or standing in the field or standing in the batter's box. It's just not your best product. And I understand you brought up Colt Keith, so let's go that route, okay? Yeah, the Tigers have put a lot of money in the Colt Keith basket, and so much, in fact, that they are expecting him to be on their major league roster. And it's got to be a sign. If you're paying the guy that much money, he's got to be playing every day. He has to be. Period. End of sentence. If Colt Keith, let's make him your starting third baseman, okay? Although my guess is that it's more likely he's the Tigers' starting second baseman, but that's a guess.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say he's your starting. I'd like to say third base though, because we can go there to the Chapman analogy there. Okay, so I understand. Probably going to play second, but hang with me for a second. If he's playing third, or Matt Chapman is playing third, okay, you're a Tiger fan. Which is the better option at third base? If it's and again, I understand you want Colt Keith to play second, but let's say he's your guy at third. Is Matt Chapman the guy who makes your team better, or Colt Keith?
I would say Matt Chapman because we've got the guy that he's got the major league experience. This is somebody that you could look at, a former first rounder back in 2014. I mean, this guy can play. I mean, his WAR is 31 for the advanced analytics crowd out there. His average is 240 career. Like the guy can do it.
His power numbers are down a little bit, but the guy is a Gold Glove third baseman. I mean, he's a Gold Glover at third base. So you improve your defense at third base dramatically where you add him there. Is Colt Keith considered a Gold Glover at third or second? Either one. No.
No.
It's his bat that's bringing him to the major leagues. And might he have a better offensive year than Matt Chapman this year? He might. All right, you want to bet your season on that?
I don't know because we don't. Literally, I don't know, but also I don't know. I don't want to do that. You'd rather have a proven product, a proven commodity there. But this to me. And you mentioned Scott Boras, like this does to me kind of feel like a little bit of that financial game. Like, do you want to play or, do you want to pay for that kind of play there from Matt Chapman, where his market value is going to be sitting around $18 million?
Yeah, you're taking a little bit of a gamble there. I get it. But you're already taking a gamble with Colt Keith. So, it's how much gambling do you want to do? So, and I'm not telling you that the Tigers should sign Matt Chapman. Let me be clear here, okay? Let me be clear. I'm just saying. Well, you know what? Let's go with one of the pitchers, okay? And let's just say, let's just use Blake Snell, okay? Because I think we can all agree that is an elite starting pitching arm. Any team in baseball. Every one of them would be better if Blake Snell was in their rotation. Every one is better. It costs you money. I get it. It costs you a lot of money, probably. But not knowing where that guy's going to pitch as the start of spring training begins, to me, that's a pox on the sport. Let's go to your favorite sport, Anthony, the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
How many free agent guys, and I mean elite, big-time free agents, are still out there as the team is a couple weeks away from their first exhibition game? How often does that happen?
Very, very rarely. I mean, Pro Football Focus just put out their top 150 list, and where everybody is already grocery shopping, right?
Yeah.
We already want to know. But the salary cap in that sport plays such a role where it just doesn't in baseball, and it feels to me like teams.
It does, but it's a much more subtle way. I mean, for example, let's go with the Angels last year. The Angels had salary cap issues. They went over. Their team then went south. So they had to suddenly have a fire sale and get rid of players so they could go under. They're not going to spend like that again. So there's one destination a guy isn't going to go just because they don't want to get over the luxury tax threshold. The Mets are another one. The Mets have the largest total salary base in the sport. And could they use Blake Snell in their rotation? Show. But, they may be kicking the tires on it. He may end up there. But if he does, the Mets have basically said, you know what? The luxury tax is what it is. We'll pay whatever we have to pay because we have to have a good team in here, and we have to do that. We have to sign Blake Snell. So don't discount that it's not a hard salary cap, but those luxury tax issues do affect some teams. And other teams, here's the other thing. I know people hate the salary cap in football, but
I love it.
The good news is, most teams pay close to it. You don't have a team like Pittsburgh or, pick whatever team is pitching pennies. Oakland, I guess. that says, you know what, we're going to stink this year. We know it, you know it. So we're going to stink on the Chiefs this year. And there, whatever the salary, whatever the luxury tax maximum is, they don't spend 1 second of one day worrying about being there. But having said that, are they also a candidate to sign any one of those four guys? Who, heck, they could probably sign all four and still be safely under the salary tax, the luxury tax, safely. But are they going to? They won't sign one of them. They won't even think about it.
And it that part bothers me, right? Because then you have the cheapskate owners where, the fans get cheated. And so, I mean, that's why Oakland's losing a team, right? I mean, if you don't want to pay, like, why do we even have a team there, right? I mean, we want the best, most competitive product out there. And if you're not going to do that, well, then humbug. You're out.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I can tell you, living here in Minnesota, people are angry at the Twins, who they think, that was a team that won the division. Now, I get it. They were the best of a bad lot, but they've definitely taken steps back this year. They really haven't solved any issues, and they've had several issues created. Their starting pitching is far inferior to what it was last year, and they're spending less money, and that's by design. And people don't like that. People don't like that. They want you to be competitive, and if that means you have to spend some money, get your wallet out.
Amen to that. That's what they need to be doing. We need to get some wallets out. We need some free agents. We got to get some of those free agents in Detroit. Huh? How about that? His name is John Wagner. Find him on Twitter at John Wagner Media. Johan, my good man, appreciate the time this morning. As always, look forward to talking to you next week, partner.
Sounds like a